The coronavirus pandemic will cause the worst global economic fallout since the Great Depression almost a century ago. That was the warning today from the head of the International Monetary Fund. And as our Economics Editor Faisal Islam explains, the British economy could be affected just as badly.
This is what trying to keep the wheels of industry turning through a global pandemic looks like. A production line that is socially distanced at the same time as keeping this British exports classic, the Brompton foldable bike, being made. Cycling is one of the industries where demand should eventually shoot up. But even here, and in the British economy generally, you can't escape the thumping impact of coronavirus and the shutdowns needed to slow its speed.
In no time at all, it hit Europe and doof. So suddenly Europe just dropped down, 30% of our sales potential just went overnight. And then it started hitting our supply chain in the UK because we started having lockdown in the UK, and then we had our staff, so we've had our ability to sell, we've had our supply chain, and we've had our staff, the whole lot knocked for six. First thing is protect cash. Cash, cash, cash.
This is one of the companies that has always sat on its cash, avoiding debts. It can't be said for all other British businesses, and the immediate effect on the economy inescapable and beyond imagination. The BBC contacted 17 of the 21 top independent economists surveyed by the Treasury to assess forecasts for the economy for April to June. The updated numbers are incredible. Have a look at the last 10 years. Outside of the 2008 financial crisis, the economy has grown and sometimes fallen by 0.3, 0.5%. In this quarter, the fall anticipated by these economists is on average over 14%. And that ranges from a minimum forecast of 7.5% down, extraordinary enough, to as much as 24% down, the temporary loss of a quarter of the economy. The only precedent for moves of this size and speed is what happened a century ago at the start of the 1920s depression.
The Treasury has been doing its own analysis of the hit to the economy from the virus and from the shutdown. My understanding is that it's in line with the bottom end of the range. Extraordinary numbers in terms of the decline of the economy in this quarter. And the great hope would be that companies such as this can be part of a rapid rebound. But that is far from certain. The impact right now being felt up and down the country.
I was recently made unemployed and I've spent today looking for jobs.
Matt, an IT worker, father of three, has computer skills ordinarily in high demand.
I've been let go from my job. We have some reserves, but they are getting very rapidly depleted, so we don't know what we're going to be able to do after the next couple of weeks.
And you've got three boys?
Yes, that's correct.
And how are they taking it?
They're not taking it too well. They really don't understand what's going on with the potential that we might have to move house and that we are having to really cut back.
The rest of the industrial estate remains eerily idle under a lockdown necessary to protect lives and the NHS, but for which the impact on the economy is only just being revealed. Faisal Islam, BBC News.
There's been a spike in deaths at a number of care homes in the UK since the outbreak began. Deaths in care homes are not included in the daily figures reported by the Department for Health, which only reports those who have died in hospital after testing positive. Our social affairs correspondent Alison Holt reports.
At the Castle Troy residential home in Luton, they've now had 13 residents who've died from coronavirus in recent days. For staff, a deeply distressing fight as they've tried to protect the older and disabled people they care for.
Castle Troy staff have been working very hard to shield residents themselves and their own families while continuing to provide the care and support needed by our residents. We send our condolences to the family and friends at this very sad time because they are our family.
Many care staff feel the vital role they are playing in this fight against the virus is being largely overlooked.
In care homes like this one, the vulnerability of their residents means they are on the front line of dealing with the coronavirus. But for weeks now, up and down the country, they've been asking for more personal protective equipment and for testing.
And many homes are struggling with the virus. At Stanley Park in County Durham, 4 residents have died after displaying symptoms. This Sheffield nursing home is one of 3 run by the same care provider. I've visited them in the past to talk about the staffing and funding pressures already faced by the care sector. Now, across the homes, they've had 6 residents die of COVID-19 and 30 people are showing symptoms.
We need support, the PPE, additional, we need extra funding to be able to pay staff more, agency rates. At the minute, it's just so challenging. We're just reacting daily to, more problems.
90-year-old Ellen Linley is a resident at one of their homes. Her son says no one on her corridor has the virus, but understandably, he's worried.
What are the public authorities that are supposed to protect these people? What are they doing? It seems to me that the care homes are at the bottom of the pile again. And basically, you're going to end up with these care homes being used as hospices.
Both councils and those representing care providers say getting the right equipment and testing for care staff needs to be a higher priority.
We need greater recognition from all the system and also from the general public for the work that we do. There is a real need as well to make sure that when we see things like testing coming through for the NHS, that social care is not forgotten.
The government says it's distributing more protective equipment and stepping up testing. Alison, Holt, BBC News.
For the 3rd week running, thousands of people have taken part in a national round of applause tonight for NHS staff and key workers during this crisis. And this time, many of the care workers joined in as well, as Emma Vardy reports.
Standing together while we're apart. Tonight, another display of the enormous gratitude for those who care, who save and protect us during this most difficult time. The 8 o'clock clap has become a unifying moment, far and wide.
I'd like to say thank you to our amazing NHS, support staff and key workers at home looking after our families and loved ones.
We'll keep doing what we're doing, you keep doing what you're doing. We are definitely all in this together.
From troops in Estonia to an oil rig in the North Sea, all in shared recognition and thanks for those on the front line. And for the unsung heroes, keeping essential services going, like the bin collectors of Belfast, on our streets while we stay indoors. So much has been accomplished so quickly, like this hotel, in just a few days, transformed into a facility for people recovering from the virus.
Only a simple joiner, being able to help out in these times, and we're all very thankful of the NHS at the minute and the great work they're doing on the front line. We feel actually privileged to be able to help out.
It's hard to quantify the admiration we now feel for those who risk their own safety to be beside loved ones when no one else can.
We do see death quite a lot in this job. We are the last hand they've probably held, bar the nurse up in a ward. We're the last person they see. And I just want to reassure people that if we take your family out, we will love them like they're one of our own.
For their dedication, a tribute from communities across the UK. We'll meet the emergency services teams of Craigavon in Northern Ireland. Some of these people in the middle of such intense times right now, but pausing just briefly to share this moment. The real heroes aren't used to the spotlight or curtain calls. They work behind the scenes. But tonight, once again, they have our applause. Emma Vardy, BBC News.